All right, let's look at the death of Craig Sager here. There's a whole lot of interesting connections in regards to his death. It syncs up to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I'll leave a link in the description, but I mentioned a few videos back in regards to LeBron James shooting 9 of 23 against the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's a pattern that I've noticed for the last 2 seasons that is connected to the team who wins the NBA Finals in regards to shooting 9 of 23. And Craig Sager's death is super synced up to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you recall, last year he got his first NBA Finals on Game 6 and whatnot. And LeBron even said, over 30 years, and how are you just now getting an NBA Finals? Anyway, it's synced up to the royal family, this number 183 that I've mentioned with the royal family. Also how it syncs up with Pope Francis. And his death, ironically, even though he's known mostly for basketball, it truly is synced up to Super Bowl 51. One of the big deals they talked about with him was when he got his big start, was he got to interview Hank Aaron. And I know Hank Aaron plays baseball, but it's synced up to the Super Bowl. So crazy how all these stories are interrelated and whatnot. Anyway, let's take a look at the story here. So Craig Sager dies age 65 on December 15th. If you go from the day that he died to the day that the NBA Finals begin, it's a span of 168 days. And in Gematria, if you write out Cleveland Cavaliers equal 168. And if you don't know what Gematria is, I'll leave a link in the description explaining what it is. It's the practice of coding numbers into words, and it's used by the people who make they make a lot of scripted media. They put it in movies. They script the sports leagues. They use this, and you can go watch that video. Make up your own mind as to exactly how it's being done, but it is for sure being done, and there are people who know about this system. So anyway, like I said, if you remember last year, Craig Sager got his first NBA Finals on June 16th, which was the 168th day of the year. It was also Game 6 of the NBA Finals. And if you go from that day to the day that he died, it's a span of 183 days, which is interesting because Sager in Jewish Gematria equals 183. And this number is a number I've mentioned a whole lot in regards to the Queen Elizabeth II, and also Pope Francis. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been synced up to both of them for the last few years. Probably more than that. It's just the last few years is when I really started to notice all these patterns and whatnot. But anyway, he died at the age of 65. Craig Sager died at age 65. Prince equals 65 in Gematria. If you remember, Prince, the singer, died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday this year on April 21st. A whole lot more to that, but it was the 112th day of the year. If you recall, The Simpsons even killed Prince off on an episode that came out on November 2nd, a lot like 112. We just had the 112th World Series that came to an end on 11/2. The Super Bowl this year is in Houston. Houston in Gematria equals 112. I even mentioned previously how the Super Bowl begins on February 5th, but in the UK, it's actually going to be February 6th, which is Queen Elizabeth's 65th anniversary of being the Queen. The word Prince equals 65. Craig Sager dies at age 65. There's a whole lot going on with it. If Queen Elizabeth dies, her son Prince Charles will become the new king. Prince Charles in Gematria equals 131. Super Bowl equals 131. Championship equals 131. Anyway, back when Craig Sager was on the NBA Finals, I made a post in regards to it, and I even talked about how he was synced up to the royal family and whatnot. And Queen Elizabeth II in Gematria also equals 168, just like Cleveland Cavaliers. So he He dies 168 days before the NBA Finals. Anyway, last year, he announced that he had cancer again on March 21st, and if you went to the game that he got to broadcast, Game 6, it was a span of 87 days, which is interesting because Queen Elizabeth II equals 87 the small way, and then it was the 168th day of the year, and Queen Elizabeth equals 168 the big way. If you went from the day Game 6 to August 7th, it was a span of 52 days. Craig Sager and Gematria the small way equals 52. And August 7th is a super special day. And in regards to Queen Elizabeth and whatnot, it's the exact halfway point from her 64th anniversary being the Queen to her 65th anniversary being the Queen. It's a span of 183 days both ways. So if you go right here, if you go from February 6th, which is the anniversary of her being the Queen, to August 7th, a span of 183 days. And then if you go from August 7th to February 6th the next year, 183 days. So that day, a very special day. And of course, her name even equals 87. And then August 7th is 8/7. August 7th also, it's the 219th day this year, and also the day that leaves 146 days in the year. And I talked about this like crazy last year. I thought it was super connected to the Golden State Warriors and whatnot. They were doing some type of huge back-to-back theme, and it didn't turn out to be for the Golden State Warriors. Now I'm starting to wonder if they just started the coding forever for the Cleveland Cavaliers or something weird, but they did back-to-back in everything I could think of. If you write out back-to-back championships, it equals 219, just like August 7th, the 219th day. Also, United Kingdom in Gematria equals 146. This day leaves 146 days in the year. Prince of Wales equals 146. Prince Charles, her son, who will become King Charles III if she dies. He's the Prince of Wales. There's a whole lot more with 183. I don't know if I posted it in this deal, or at least not necessarily 183, but the date of August 7th that is synced up to 183, like I said. And I see that I posted it, so I'll talk about it here in a second. So if you go from the first day of the NBA season to the day that Craig Sager died, he died on the 51st day of the NBA season. And he was even born in the year 1951. Remember, in Gematria, Cleveland equals 51, Cleveland Cavs equal 51, Quicken Loans, where the Cleveland Cavaliers play, equals 51, LeBron James equals 51. Last year, when they won the finals, it was the first sports championship in Cleveland in 51 years. I also even mentioned how Queen Victoria, who was the previous longest reigning British English monarch of all time before Queen Elizabeth surpassed her. But anyway, Queen Victoria she died exactly 51 years, 15 days before Queen Elizabeth became the Queen. Just think about that in regards to 51. Also, Donald Trump is exactly 15 years, 51 days older than Barack Obama. Pope Francis was 15 years old in the year 1951. Even in regards to the 9 of 23 stuff, last year LeBron James shot 9 of 23, 51 days before they played the Golden State Warriors on Christmas Day. It should have been an easy sign, but I just didn't get it at the time. Also, if you recall, Donald Trump and the Cleveland Cavaliers went to the White House at the same time as well on November 10th, the day that leaves 51 days in the year this year. I mean, it's all set up and planned that way. They had to go there with the day that leaves 51 days of the year because of all the 51 that's connected to them. So hopefully I'm not losing you. I'm sorry. There's a whole lot of information in regards to this story. So If you go from August 7th in, that special day, the halfway point between Queen Elizabeth's 64th and 65th anniversary to the death of Craig Sager, it's a span of 131 days. And like I said, Prince Charles equals 131, Championship 131, Super Bowl equals 131. In regards to Prince the singer, if you recall, last year in 2015, LeBron James was even Prince for Halloween. And Kevin Love was Jackie Moon from the movie Semi-Pro. Prince dies on the night of a full moon on Queen Elizabeth's birthday. Prince Charles's birthday this year, his 68th birthday, was on the day of the extra supermoon, the one that was the closest since the year 1948. He was born in the year 48. Charles II in Gematria equals 48. Charles I died age 48. Lots of stuff going on with it. He was even married to Princess Diana, who died on August 31st, 31/8, which the 318 stuff I think is somehow connected to this 183. I just don't know how it all fits together, but it is an anagram. But Princess Diana was the goddess of the moon. I mean, tons of stuff going on with it. Also, if you go from Craig Sager's death to what would have been his 66th birthday, it's a span of 197 days. If you write out Prince in Jewish Gematria, it equals 197. If you write out LeBron in Jewish Gematria, it equals 197. If you write out 65, he died at the age of 65, Prince equals 65. 65 equals 49, and I'll actually explain that as we move farther down, but the 65th prime number is 313, and Pope Francis, if you recall, became the Pope on 3/13 of the year 2013. Also, if you write out the mark of the beast, if you write out 600, 6, like the mark of the beast that it says in the Bible, it equals 133 and also 313, both a lot like the day that Pope Francis became the Pope. Also, if you go from August 7th then to Pope Francis's anniversary of being the Pope, a span of 219 days. Remember, back-to-back championships equal 219, August 7th, the 219th day of the year. Also, if you remember the Philadelphia train wreck that was synced up to LeBron James and Pope Francis and the Golden State Warriors winning in 2015, that train wreck happened on May 12th of 2015. That was 219 days before Pope Francis, his birthday. And it was also 87 days before 8/7. So 5/12, the day of that Philadelphia train wreck, was super special. Also, I want to point out, if you go from the beginning of the NBA season to the beginning of the NBA Finals, it's a span of 219 days. You know what? I've explained this a billion times too, but I want to just re-explain it in regards to how the train wreck is synced up to LeBron James and the Pope and whatnot. So, this Philadelphia train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m., and the big deal was Pope Francis was coming to the United States on his 923rd day as Pope. He even went to the White House at 9:23 on 9:23. And LeBron James in Jewish Gematria equals 923. Later that year, 66 days later, he was in the movie Trainwreck. LeBron equals 66 in Gematria. The movie Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. It starts off when the beginning of the movie, Amy Schumer's character is 9 years old. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. So there's something super significant about 923. Pope Francis even finished his trip in America in Philadelphia and he also gave a speech on Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address lectern. And there still is, it's still going on, but all of the Civil War type coding that's in the media. The NBA Finals also beginning on 6-1 is interesting because Craig Sager with the S exception equals 61. The finals begin on 6-1. If you write out 219, 219 equals 92 in gematria, just like Craig Sager's full name, Craig Graham Sager Sr. So interesting, equals has the connection to that. Also last year, if you watch what I was talking about in regards to the 9 of 23 stuff, and then I just explained it in regards to Pope Francis and LeBron James. LeBron James shot 9 of 23 on November 4th, and 146 days later, Kyrie Irving shot 9 of 23. And remember, United Kingdom equals 146, Prince of Wales equals 146. I noticed every time that Kyrie Irving shot 9 of 23 after that, LeBron James didn't play. If you write out LeBron James didn't play, it equaled 219. I don't like writing out big phrases like that, but interesting that it does come out to 219. Also, I thought it was interesting that Craig Sager, most people know him for his goofy suits or his outfit, his tie. A lot of times it's a suit. Suit in gematria equals 69, just like Cleveland Cavaliers the small way. Just like back-to-back equals 69. And he also died in Atlanta. Atlanta equals 69. If you don't include the end date, then Craig Sager's death was 182 days after the day that Game 6, the day that he got to do the NBA Finals. So the one previously was with the end date. If you don't include the end date, a span of 182 days. And remember, back-to-back equals 182. Once again, it seems like they're foreshadowing a back-to-back championship. Last year, I got it all completely wrong. But I did mention multiple times how Cleveland Cavaliers equals 69, just like back-to-back, and maybe it was synced up to them. Turned out that it truly was. In regards to the Super Bowl then, I went to ESPN.com, and the first video that they had up about him, the first story they had up about Craig Sager dying, they had this video right here. And the very first thing that Craig Sager says is, the Indianapolis 500 on the same day the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, pretty weird in regards, we've been talking about the Colts being in the Super Bowl and whatnot. Tons of stuff seemed to be lining up for the Indianapolis Colts. And Craig Sager died 52 days before Super Bowl 51. Remember, Craig Sager, the small way, equals 52. He died 52 days before the Super Bowl this year. And then the first thing they show us in this video is he's talking about Indianapolis. I can't find the video anymore. I didn't save the link, but I'm sure that was the first video. I'm positive. In the video, they later go on to tell us how Craig Sager was one of the first in line to interview Hank Aaron after he hit his 715th home run, breaking Babe Ruth's record and whatnot. He does play for the Braves, but just interesting they have this Native American guy here and whatnot. And there's a big old thing going on with the Native Americans. Think about Cleveland Cavaliers and then the Cleveland Indians being in the World Series. I've made tons of videos on this Native American theme. So interesting, that's the next thing they tell you in the video. And that's one of the big deals. That's how he got to start when he was age 22. So I went and looked up Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron just so happens to be born on the same day Super Bowl 51 is going to be held this year. And he's going to turn 83 years old. In gematria, football equals 83. Hank Aaron equals 83. And he's going to turn 83 on Super Bowl 51. You know, as I'm sitting here too, I swear to you, I did not know that somebody told me earlier that the I Will Always Love You song is actually originally by Dolly Parton. I had no idea that song was actually originally by Dolly Parton. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Dolly Parton and the Oakland fire and how it even connects into the death of Alan Thicke and Robin Thicke and Miley Cyrus doing the whatever, she's poking him in the nuts with the foam finger or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. I need to go back. I need to go watch Zachary K. Hubbard's videos again and re-educate my brain on what's going on. But somebody told me that earlier. I had no idea. And it's all super synced in because remember, Whitney Houston died age 48. Her daughter's name, who died the exact same way in a bathtub, oh, the odds. Her name in gematria equals 48. And Bobby Brown, her husband, or the dad, he will be 48 years old on 2/5, the same day as the Super Bowl. So I guarantee there's a connection there. Just thinking about it, but moving on. Sorry to get off topic, but moving on here. Craig, so Hank Aaron played for the Atlanta Braves, who were later bought by Ted Turner, the guy who owns CNN. Craig Sager worked for Turner, or at least that's what you mostly know him for. He also worked for CNN and whatnot. Hank Aaron wore the number 44. Craig Sager dies of cancer. Cancer equals 44. Chemo 44. Cigarettes 44. Kill 44. Before Hank Aaron joined the Major League Baseball, he signed a contract on November 20th, 1951 with the Indianapolis Clowns. Once again, Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Clowns. Look at the date too. November 20th. In numerology, you don't use the 0. A lot like 112. The Super Bowl's played in Houston. It's Super Bowl 51. He did it in the year 51. The date numerology that he signed with the Clowns, 11 plus 20 plus 51, 83. Indianapolis Clowns in gematria equals 83. Just like Hank Aaron, he's going to be 83 on the day of Super Bowl 51. And it says instead of going to the New York Giants in the Major League, he went to the Boston Braves. But he didn't get his Major League debut until they were the Atlanta Braves. So just super interesting. Talked a lot about the New York Giants as well. Possibly the New York Giants playing the Indianapolis Colts. In my personal opinion, I still think it's the Cowboys and the Colts. But, something to think about. Like I said, I'm just following some stuff and trying to figure out what exactly they're trying to do with it. Braves equals 22 in gematria. Remember, Craig Sager got his interview with Hank Aaron when he's age 22. Basketball equals 22 in gematria. Basketball also equals 85 the big way. He died December 15th. December 15th equals 85 in gematria. 22 is also a number when YouTube was copyright claiming my videos. They were showing me 22 like crazy. Because it's synced up to Freemasonry. It's synced up to King Charles and the English Civil War. Ton of stuff with it. 22, if you write it out, equals 165, just like if you write out Scottish Rite. June 13th, also the day that Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, bought Prince's Yellow Cloud guitar. 6/13 is the 112th prime. That's also the same day that King Charles I married his wife Henrietta Maria of France. The 165th day of the year. Anyway, remember last year too, in 2015, we got the death of Milo Hamilton, and he was the guy who called the game of Hank Aaron hitting the 715th home run. Notice he died at the age of 88 in Houston, Texas. Of all places to die, Houston, Texas, dies age 88. Craig Sager, the big way, equals 88 in gematria. Think about how that's synced up to the Super Bowl this year. I mean, seriously. Milo, he dies age 88. Sager equals 88. They both have ties to Hank Aaron. Sager also won the Jimmy V Award at the ESPYs on July 13th. Jimmy V equals 92. Remember, his full name equals 92 in gematria. He won the Jimmy V Award 5 months, 2 days before he died. His name the small way equals 52. If you go from the day he won that SB to the day he died, 155 days as well. Also 5 months, 2 days. 155, he was born in Batavia, Illinois. That equals 155. Also 65, like the age that he died. The CNN article also told us that Charles Barkley went and stayed with him in the hospital when his wife couldn't be there and whatnot. I mean, ridiculous. Charles Wade Barkley, 173 in gematria. Craig Graham Sager Sr., the big way, 173. If you write out 107, it equals 173. And this number is interrelated into King Charles, and it's also interrelated into the Super Bowl. If you write out 131, which equals Super Bowl equals 131, Prince Charles equals 131, Championship 131. If you write out 131, it equals 107. King Charles also equals 107 in gematria. If you write out 173, it equals 112, just like Houston, where Super Bowl 51 is going to be playing. Remember, Charles Barkley finished his career with the Houston Rockets. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, they're showing you they're showing you that it's all connected to the Super Bowl. Who exactly it's for, I'm not sure, but it sure seems to be the Colts in regards to the video. And the first thing he mentions is Indianapolis. If you go from Craig Sager's death to Charles Barkley's birthday, a span of 2 months, 5 days, the Super Bowl's on 2/5. So we'll end it here. Hopefully you get the gist of it. Super synced up. I'm pretty sure his death, once again, is showing us the Colts are going to be in the Super Bowl. But also, once again, possibly all of the Colts stuff is just showing us something different. I think it's synced up to the Colts, but I've been doing this for a while now, and sometimes it doesn't play out the way you think it's going to. It's just connected to what you're talking about. So possibly it's connected to Deflategate again, and we had the death of the Brady lady, so maybe it's all synced up for the Patriots, or possibly with all of the Super Bowl 5 stuff I'm talking about, maybe it's for the Miami Dolphins. You know, there's some different ways that they could actually take it, and you know, it's just based off of that, or based off of the Colts. They do a lot of coding to a certain team, but it seriously seems to me that it is synced up to the Colts. It's also synced up to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I guess we'll wait and see. We'll see how it all plays out. I still want to know. I want to know what this 183 is all about. It's funny because Zachary Hubbard just made the video about the 318, but I've been wondering about the 183 for a very long time. There's a whole lot of 183 in regards to the royal family and Pope Francis and how it syncs up with the dates and whatnot. And then interesting that Sager equals 183. So who knows? Gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna make a video before I go to bed here about the scripted day 4 of the Jeopardy lady, and these videos keep getting trolled like crazy all day today. I probably had 100 notifications, the most I've ever had in my life in one day, leaving me messages on old videos talking shit and whatever. It's pretty hilarious. So, and a bunch of other weird stuff happened to me today, but I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to end the video here, but definitely going to make this video about Jeopardy before I go to bed, and I guess, yeah. Have a good one. We'll see what happens.